The video frame flickers slightly. Ivy Carter adjusts her chair, but her eyes don't leave the camera. It was raining that day, not just the skies, but the look in everyone's eyes. Like I was trash finally taken out. I'd given them everything, my time, my ideas, my loyalty, and I was rewarded with silence when I begged for an explanation. She pauses. Her voice hardens. Let me paint the scene. Cut to a flashback-style vignette. Ivy, heels clicking on marble floors, clutching a cardboard box while people at their desks look away. A security guard escorts her to the elevator. She's too stunned to cry. I had built that marketing division from scratch. My campaigns put that company on the map. And yet, they erased me like I was nothing. She glances downward for a beat, then continues. Turns out, my so-called best friend, Melina, had been feeding my ideas to my manager and to my fiancé, Aaron, both of whom were secretly gunning for my job. All three of them knew I was being investigated for insubordination and misuse of resources, lies they manufactured behind closed doors, while I stayed loyal, like a fool. She leans in now, voice low but clear. I didn't fight back then. I walked out of that building like a ghost, drenched, numb. But something in me snapped. You ever feel that? That quiet break where the pain stops and clarity sets in? That's when I knew. She sits back slowly, a slight, almost dangerous smirk curling at the edge of her lips. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to build. And then I was going to burn them all. Her voice softens. Because I wasn't just betrayed, I was buried. But what they didn't know is that I was a seed, and seeds grow best in the dark. The screen fades to black with a soft echo of her words. This is how I took revenge, and made sure every single one of them paid. I wasn't born into power or privilege. I came from oil-stained coveralls, church potlucks, and dreams that didn't fit in small-town Kentucky. My dad, Henry Carter, ran a dusty little garage off Route 7. He worked with his hands and barely spoke unless it was about carburetors or the wildcats. My mom died when I was 12, ovarian cancer, quick and cruel. After that, I learned how to survive without asking for much. I cooked, studied, and became the girl who got straight A's and never caused trouble. Dependable Ivy, quiet Ivy, the one teachers praised and classmates forgot. But I had ambition, and ambition is a louder engine than fear. I got out, full ride to Northwestern, scholarship and student loans. Lived in a crappy apartment with 3 other girls and mold in the shower. I didn't party. I didn't date much. I worked part-time, tutored, interned, hustled every single day. I had a sticky note above my desk that read, "You don't get to stop." I still remember it, yellow with frayed corners. After graduation, I landed a junior marketing role at Weston Maddox, one of Chicago's most cutthroat corporate firms. I was 22, a speck in a sea of legacies and last names. No daddy pulling strings for me, no yacht weekends or alumni networks, just grit and long hours and silence. But I learned fast, and I worked harder than anyone. 5 years in, I was running entire brand campaigns. By year 7, I had a corner office and an unofficial title, Maddox's Silent Star. That's when I met Liam. He was charming in that brooding, tortured artist way, copywriting genius. I helped him get hired after his freelance work dried up. We clicked fast, late nights in the office. Coffee runs turning into shared playlists and inside jokes. Before long, we were living together, making plans, talking about buying a condo in Hyde Park. And then there was Tessa. Tessa was a firecracker. Hair always perfect, nails always red. She could sell snow to a glacier. We met during an off-site conference in Austin, ended up drunk on margaritas and tacos, laughing like old friends. She transferred to the Chicago branch a year later. I vouched for her, helped her settle in. She became my go-to. Girls' nights, vent sessions, wedding Pinterest boards. I trusted her like blood. We were sisters. The three of us, Liam, Tessa, me, we were tight. Inside jokes, group chats, weekend trips to Michigan. I was building something, not just a life, but a family. And then there was Gregory Maddox, senior partner, a man who shook hands like he wanted to crush your bones, ice blue eyes and a glass office bigger than most apartments. He didn't like small talk or mistakes, but he liked me because I delivered. He once told me in passing, "You're sharp, Ivy, quiet power, the best kind." I held on to that for longer than I care to admit. What I really wanted was to launch an internal tech branch. Data-driven branding meets digital automation. I pitched the idea at the annual partners retreat. Months of research, late-night mock-ups, PowerPoint perfection. He smiled, nodded, said he'd consider it. What I didn't know was they'd already stolen it. Tessa had access to my files. Liam knew my pitch inside and out. And Gregory Maddox, he just needed a new face to front the initiative. Someone louder, someone not tied to a junior partner promotion. The day I walked into that boardroom to present my proposal, they were already ahead of me. Tessa was sitting at the head of the table, Liam beside her, smiling. They unveiled my idea, dressed up in new buzzwords and branded as their own. I wasn't even on the invite list. 2 weeks later, I was accused of professional misconduct, misusing company software for unauthorized projects. I was walked out like a criminal. No explanation, no call from Liam, no text from Tessa, nothing. I wasn't just building a life, I was building their lives too, and I didn't see the cracks until it all fell. I sit here now, thinking about those late-night Chinese takeout dinners with Liam, sesame chicken, soy sauce kisses, him reading my drafts while I rubbed the tension from his shoulders. I remember the karaoke nights with Tessa, her screeching Taylor Swift while we laughed till we cried. I remember my dream. That internal tech branch wasn't just a proposal. It was my future, my legacy, the thing I was going to own. But they took that from me, or at least they thought they did, because what none of them knew was I had backups, emails, timelines, proof, and more importantly, I had time and rage. Now, I have a plan. Ivy's world crumbles in real time. Her voice stays steady, but the pain is undeniable. The betrayal becomes real, not just emotional, but institutional. The moment she shifts from hurt to calculating, the email came at 9:02 a.m. Subject line, termination of employment. Immediate action required. I thought it was a phishing scam at first, some HR glitch. I clicked it out of reflex, heart rate steady, brain still in morning coffee mode. Then I saw the CC line, Gregory Maddox, Tessa Blake, Liam Rhodes, HR compliance, legal affairs. The words blurred. I blinked. Once. Twice. My fingers turned to ice. Pues, this must be a mistake, I told myself, out loud, like that would make it true. I threw on my blazer and took the elevator up to the 29th floor. No security guard stopped me. That came later. Inside the HR conference room, the lights were bright, too bright, and then I saw them. Gregory Maddox, seated at the head of the table, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Tessa, in a crisp white blouse, not a hair out of place, no smile, no warmth. And Liam, sitting beside her, not beside me. He didn't even flinch when I walked in. "Please, sit," said Maddox, voice dry as paper. "This isn't real." I remember thinking. This is some twisted test or intervention. Then Tessa spoke, calm, rehearsed, like she was reading from a script. Over the past 3 months, Ivy Carter has been engaged in unauthorized manipulation of financial reporting systems for personal gain. We have documentation of fund rerouting, password logs, and timestamp evidence. I blinked. Excuse me, what? Ivy? Maddox cut in. This isn't just an HR issue. It's a matter of legal liability. I looked at Liam. He didn't meet my gaze. Liam? I whispered. Tell them this isn't. He just stared at the wall. No emotion, no confusion, no regret. I looked into Liam's eyes. Cold, empty, like I never even existed to him. I turned to Tessa, desperate, breath shallow. Tessa, you know that's not what happened. You know I found that accounting glitch. I told you in confidence, remember? I said we needed to report it. Tessa tilted her head, almost a pout. You told me you found it, but the records show otherwise. You were actively rerouting funds into unmonitored sub-accounts. It's all traceable. You used your admin access to bury the transactions. Lies. She took the very thing I warned her about and flipped it. Back in January, I noticed a loophole in the firm's expense tracking software. A quiet flaw, one that let internal funds shuffle without triggering alerts. I brought it up to her, told her we had to go through proper channels, that it was a liability. I didn't know she'd already started using it. She wasn't just climbing the ladder, she was gutting the rungs beneath me. Gregory leaned forward. We've reviewed the data. You're a risk to this firm. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated. Security will escort you out. That's when 2 guards stepped in, silent, like they'd done this before. I wanted to scream, cry, fight, but my body froze. They handed me a cardboard box, told me I had 15 minutes to clear my desk. I stumbled out of that room like a ghost. My colleagues, people I'd mentored, helped, joked with in break rooms, avoided eye contact as I walked past. The elevator ride down felt like free fall. By the time I stepped outside, it was raining. Of course it was raining. I stood there on Monroe Street, soaking wet, cardboard melting in my arms, my laptop, my framed photo of me and Liam in Michigan, a few notebooks, a coffee mug that said she believed she could so she did. Funny how the universe plays jokes. They stole my job, my reputation, my relationship, and left me standing in the rain like a damn fool. I got into an Uber and said nothing the entire ride home. No missed calls, no apologies, not even a text, just silence. And in that silence, something inside me cracked, not like glass, more like the ground splitting open. They didn't just fire me, they framed me, used my own integrity against me. They made me into a cautionary tale. Don't trust too hard, don't dream too big, don't outshine the wrong people. But I wasn't done. That crack inside me, it wasn't the end. It was where the roots began to grow. Ivy's spiral into despair becomes the fire she needs. Alone, broken, but sharp, she shifts from victim to strategist. The mood stays raw, but the shift is palpable. The storm is turning. After the rain came silence. No apologies, no explanations, no one reaching out to say, we know something's wrong. People I'd celebrated birthdays with now wouldn't return a text. No one stood up for me, not even privately. Not a single "Are you okay" message, just ghosting, like I'd never existed, like the years I spent building that company and those relationships were a fever dream. At first, I kept telling myself it would blow over, that Maddox would realize the mistake, that Liam would come home. He didn't. He moved out 2 days later, left a post-it note on the kitchen counter that said, I think we both need space. We'd been engaged, 3 years. I didn't even deserve a conversation. And Tessa? I saw the Instagram post a week later. The two of them, smiling, wine glasses clinking. Caption: To new beginnings, I threw up in my sink. Then I drank an entire bottle of wine on the floor of our empty living room. I don't even remember falling asleep, just waking up at 3 a.m. to my own dried tears and the sound of a leaking faucet. The next few weeks were a blur. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My skin broke out. My inbox was full of LinkedIn DMs, former colleagues pretending to check in while fishing for gossip. A few even liked the press release Maddox put out about the internal compliance failure they were actively investigating. I was the failure, the scapegoat. My landlord called. Rent was late. He threatened to file a notice. I begged for a week. I had gone from partner track to pariah, from wedding plans to eviction notices, from being seen to being erased. I thought I'd hit rock bottom. And then I found out the truth. Tessa had been promoted, officially named Director of Strategy. She used my digital branding proposal as her debut project, pitched it to a Fortune 100 client, and got the firm $1 million retainer. Gregory Maddox claimed it in a shareholders' call as his innovation. And Liam, he was with her now, openly, proudly. Just like that, they erased me, professionally, socially, personally. That was the breaking point. I stopped crying and started calculating. I opened my laptop, the one they hadn't managed to wipe because they'd fired me too fast. I went into old folders, looked through archived Zoom calls. I used to record meetings to take notes later, a habit I never thought would matter. Turns out, it mattered, because I had a folder called Q1 Syncs, filled with screen recordings. One of them was a strategy session from March. Tessa's voice on record saying, "If this loophole really exists, we could totally build a shadow model, just as a test." My voice followed. "Tessa, that's unethical. We need to report it to compliance." Boom, my first breadcrumb. Then I went into email backups. I'd always blind copied myself on anything I thought might be important. Another habit from growing up poor. You keep receipts because nobody's coming to save you. I started collecting screenshots, threaded conversations, voice memos, financial files, a digital spiderweb of quiet treachery. But I was out of my depth. I needed someone who understood the back end, how metadata works, how internal systems tracked logins and IP addresses. That's when I remembered Jordan. He used to be a senior IT analyst at West and Maddox. Smart, quiet, funny in a sad way. They fired him last year over a breach of confidentiality that never quite added up. I found him on Reddit, of all places, ranting about corporate corruption under a throwaway account. I messaged him. He replied in 10 minutes. We met at a dive bar near Wicker Park. He wore a hoodie and looked 5 years older than he should. Burnout will do that to a man. "I always knew something was off with Tessa," he said, swirling a flat beer. "And Maddox, that guy's a cobra in a suit." I showed him what I had. He stared at the screen for 20 minutes, silent, before saying, "I can trace this deeper. There's more here." And he did. Jordan found internal server logs showing Maddox approving the project before my termination. Files marked with my original timestamp. Hidden metadata proving they copied my documents, altered authorship, and backdated submissions to make it look like Tessa led the project. He also found encrypted Slack messages, some recovered, some reconstructed, showing Tessa and Maddox joking about how easy it was to flip the story. Liam's name was in the threads too. He helped. He knew. They coordinated it all. The fake narrative, the evidence planting, the timed performance complaints that started surfacing a month before my termination. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a fucking cover up. They destroyed me methodically, like a hit job. But now, I had more than pain. I had proof. Jordan helped me back up everything to cloud storage, multiple drives, an anonymous email chain set to release the files to press contacts if anything happened to me. I started reaching out to lawyers, quiet ones, the kind that enjoy taking down giants. A few laughed me off until I showed them what I had. Then they got serious. But I wasn't just building a legal case, I was building a psychological one. I wanted them to feel the fear, the doubt, the gnawing anxiety of knowing someone's out there, watching, waiting. I created new LinkedIn profiles, anonymous burner accounts, started commenting on West and Maddox posts using quotes from internal memos only insiders would recognize. I dropped a screenshot in a Slack channel Jordan still had ghost access to. Just one line of text from Tessa's Slack thread. Enough to rattle, not enough to trace. They panicked. I could tell from the sudden PR cleanup, the rushed new job listings, the NDA notices going out to staff. I hadn't even touched them yet. And they were sweating. And me? I was just getting started. The revenge arrives. Not as chaos, but as a calculated storm. Ivy's voice is steady, precise, powerful. She doesn't just destroy them, she replaces them. They say revenge is best served cold. I disagree. It's best served strategically, at room temperature, so they don't even realize they're swallowing poison until it's already inside them. With Jordan's help, I partnered with a whistleblower attorney named Elena Shore, the kind of woman who wore red lipstick to court and left entire corporations bleeding. She reviewed the files, the messages, the timeline, and then she leaned back and said, "We have a case, not just a wrongful termination suit, a federal investigation, fraud, retaliation, securities violation if investors were knowingly misled. This is bigger than you think." But I already knew how big it was. I wasn't done with just exposing them. I wanted to take back everything. So I created a new identity, digital only. Clara Voss, former Google consultant, now founder of a boutique innovation firm. I built a clean website, bought the domain, created a LinkedIn, added a few fake press articles from overseas outlets that looked real enough to pass a background scan. Then I applied to the same investors Maddox had sold my stolen pitch to. But I didn't just repackage the idea. I elevated it. Better data, better strategy, better integration pipeline. The kind of innovation no one at West and Maddox would even think to explore because they were too busy politicking and backstabbing. The investors bit hard. They invited Clara Voss to the Midwest Capital Tech Summit, hosted at a luxury hotel in downtown Chicago. Black tie, red carpet, glass ceilings, and billion-dollar handshakes. Clara got a 15-minute pitch slot. But Ivy, she got the main stage. I stood backstage in a sleek black dress, hair pinned up, mic in place. Jordan stood beside me, managing the live feed and audio tracks. Elena was in the front row with 2 federal investigators and 3 journalists from top business publications. My palms didn't sweat. My knees didn't shake because this wasn't fear. This was righteous execution. The screen behind me displayed the Clara Voss logo. I walked out to applause. "Good evening," I said, calm and clear. "My name is Clara Voss, but that's not exactly true." I watched as confusion flickered across the audience. I smiled. Soft, sharp. Then I tapped my clicker. Slide 1. Ivy Carter, former West and Maddox senior strategist. Gasps. A few cell phones raised. People whispering. Slide 2. Timeline of tech initiative proposal. Submission versus stolen pitch. Slide 3. Audio clip. Gregory Maddox in private strategy call. His voice echoed across the hall. That idiot client doesn't know a data algorithm from a dinner menu. We'll feed them whatever story makes them write the check. Slide 4. Slack screenshot. Tessa and Liam altering metadata and laughing about it. You're right, Tessa had typed. Let's just bury it in Ivy's folder. Who's gonna question the loyal girl? Laughter. My laughter. This time, I let it ring out, the kind that turns stomachs. I wasn't just betrayed, I said, turning back to the audience. I was used, lied about, fired, humiliated, all while the people who did it, Gregory Maddox, Tessa Blake, and Liam Rhodes, built their careers off the bones of my work. Maddox's clients were in that audience, his investors, his partners, his competition, and now, so were his prosecutors. I know what to get you. I wasn't just back, I said, staring straight into the camera lens broadcasting live across the summit. I was the storm they never saw coming. I walked off stage to stunned silence, and then a slow, rising ovation. The fallout was immediate. West and Maddox lost three major clients overnight. Their valuation dropped 40% in a week. Maddox was placed under federal investigation. Wire fraud, falsified investor reports, internal abuse of financial systems. Tessa was suspended pending litigation. She made a tearful Instagram video about being misunderstood. No one bought it. Liam was named in three exposés on workplace betrayal, weaponized intimacy, and corporate ethics. His face, once admired in slick pitch decks, became a meme on Office Villains Weekly. And me? I didn't need revenge trending. I needed control. So I kept building under the Clara Voss name. Investors backed me. Clients trusted me. My tech firm launched within 6 months. My idea, my team, my rules. And at every pitch, I made sure they knew what I'd overcome. Not out of spite, out of principle. I never needed to scream. I just needed to be undeniable. They built their power off my back. I made sure they fell face first off it. Ivy Carter was never the weak one. She was the root system under the concrete. And once the cracks appeared, I grew through them. I didn't go back. Not to Western Maddox, not to my old apartment, not to the woman I used to be. I didn't want to show them. I wanted to outgrow them. Jordan and I built something new, a lean, smart consultancy that moved faster than legacy firms and hit harder than overpriced agencies. We took on clients who valued innovation over ego, outcomes over optics. And the investors, they backed me, not out of pity, not for headlines, for what I built, what I proved I could do. In 6 months, we had 5 major contracts. In a year, we were speaking at summits the old firm used to chase. I even got invited to consult for a firm that once rejected my cold emails. My name was cleared, quietly, legally, officially. Western Maddox issued a public apology on a Thursday afternoon, buried between quarterly earnings and new hire press. I saw it, but I didn't repost it, didn't quote, tweet it, didn't even bookmark it, because I didn't need them to validate me anymore. My story was already rewritten, and I was holding the pen. Liam texted me 2 weeks after the summit. Just a single line. I made a mistake. I stared at it for a while, not with anger, not with longing, just distance. He was a different life, a ghost with good hair and bad judgment. I never replied. He didn't deserve a second of my silence, let alone my words. I didn't want their apology. I wanted my life back, and I built it without them. Some nights, I still remember the crying, the wine-soaked spiral, the way it felt to be erased. But I also remember the first client who signed with me. No hesitation. The team meetings filled with laughter, not fear. The feeling of walking into a room and knowing no one could take it from me. That fire they lit inside me, the pain, the humiliation, it didn't burn me down. It forged me. I thought revenge would make me feel whole. It didn't. But power? That felt good. Power over my time, power over my name, power over my peace. Revenge was the match. Rebirth was the flame. They tried to bury me, but I wasn't soil. I was the seed. And I didn't just grow back. I took root. I broke through, and I bloomed on my terms, in my name, for no one's approval but my own. And now I don't chase doors. I build them. And every time I walk through one, I make damn sure it stays open behind me. For every other woman who's ever been told to sit down, shut up, stay small, we're done shrinking. We're done apologizing. We are not weak. We are wildfire. And they can't contain us anymore. Ivy sits alone in a simple room. Clean, uncluttered, a single plant behind her. No branding, no makeup team, just her and the camera. Her eyes are steady, her voice calm, controlled, dangerous in its certainty. People talk about being walked over like it's the end of the story, like you're just the dirt beneath their shoes. She leans forward, a beat of silence. But they forget. The ground always remembers who stepped on it. A breath, not shaky, not dramatic, just human. I didn't get closure. I didn't get justice handed to me. I got truth. And then I used it. Her hands are folded in her lap. No drama in her posture. Just quiet strength. I let them walk. I let them lie. I let them destroy everything I built. And I let them think they won. A small, knowing smile. But when I rose, I made sure they could never walk over anyone again. She looks into the camera like she's talking to one person. Maybe the person watching this who needs to hear it. Maybe you. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not scared. I'm not the version of myself who needed them to choose me. Her eyes narrow, not with rage, but with clarity. I'm Ivy Carter. I was the girl they crushed. A pause. Her smile fades into something deeper, something earned. Now I'm the woman they fear. Fade to black. Her name appears on screen, not as a victim, not as a survivor, but as a force.